All right, it's the end of the day. I just only have two things to say to you. First, before everyone walks out, I want to actually give a round of applause to the staff. So we get credit as the planning committee, but Katie and Rose and Emma and Gwen and Joe, who will be writing up this great report. I mean, really, it's been a fantastic, and Michael McGinnis, a fantastic pleasure to work with them, and they really have brought us here. And then second, just thank you. This is exactly when we were having our multiple phone calls, planning for this, thinking about what the third workshop would be. This is exactly what we had in mind, which was to be affirmed, challenged, inspired, provoked, all of the things that you did today in a constructive and good way. And my commitment as the chair of the planning committee, and I think on behalf of my colleagues, is that we will treat the report and, what more importantly, the action and the ethos with all of the care and dignity that you brought to this today. We will bring that to bringing this report to fruition and the work to life. So that's our commitment to you, and just a tremendous thanks. And I'm going to turn it to Michael McGinnis to close the day.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. I'm reluctant to say anything because the last word was given by a very articulate person in an extremely compelling fashion. This has been an extraordinarily rich day in content, in insights for the report, in spirit, and in promise. Many times you've pointed out throughout the course of the day that we've seen in the past, as Ashish said, in the past 18 months, certainly in the past couple of decades, a fairly substantial shift, really paradigm shift in many ways in the principles that operate in the way that we think about the treatment of high-need patients and providing their needs. I jotted down a few notes at the risk of delaying you for another 4 minutes. I'll just try to run through them fairly quickly so that Joe can have them in the course of the official record when he translates. And they relate essentially to revisiting the themes that you've already addressed. The themes around function, around teams, around the place of social services, around cost, around classification, around caregivers, and around data. There have been important shifts in each of those dimensions. With respect to function, no longer are we thinking about approaching high-need patients with respect to their diagnoses, but with respect to the level of function involved and engaging those issues much more fundamentally and effectively. With respect to teams, no longer do we think of a team as a shopping list that's given to a patient with the names of individual service providers. Now we're thinking about multi-level, multi-function, coordinator-led teams that are mobilized around an individual patient. No longer are we thinking about whether social services are relevant to medical care. Now the issue is how can they be seamlessly engaged. No longer can we afford, are we considering the issue of can we afford to provide high-need patients the range of services that they need? Now the question is how can we afford not to? No longer are we thinking of segmenting care for high-need patients as identifying facilities to which they should be sent. Rather, we are thinking of stratifying care needs to mobilize around the individual patient where they are and hopefully often at home. No longer are we thinking about whether, or asking the question of whether high-risk, the high-risk patients need the attention of a caregiver. Rather, we're now asking, what attention does a good caregiver need? And no longer are we asking about only the data on how much a high-need patient costs us, but we're asking about the data on how the care for high-need patients match with their goals. Each of these is a fairly substantial shift in a fairly short time, and they've all come to light in the course of this conversation. Not that they haven't been raised here and there in other places, but I think they bode very well for the kind of product that's going to be issued by you under the guidance of your chair, Peter Long. So I want to again thank you very much for the riches that you've brought to the conversation. Obviously, thanks to the Peterson Foundation, Jeff and Emily, to David Blumenthal, and to Bruce Chernoff, and really all of the folks involved in this respect. And I've already thanked the Planning Committee. I can't give enough thanks to the Planning Committee and to the chair, but there is one person I want to call out again, finally, because unfortunately this is her final day of participation for a while, at least her final day before she becomes a new mother, and that's Katie Upton-Smith. Katie, can you stand up? Katie Upton-Lewis. Katie Upton-Lewis has been absolutely fabulous. We wish you very well, Katie. We're looking forward to meeting your new daughter, and we know that you'll be delivering two important products and raising them over the course of the next couple of months. Thanks all. Safe travels home, and to be continued.